going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Xbox 101. I'm your host, Asthmatic, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Xbox One console itself as well as the controller. We're just going to go ahead and take a look around some of the ports on the front back, what everything looks like, so that you know when you come home with your new console and you're setting it up, what everything is for, what to expect. If you haven't purchased it yet, if you're thinking about it, you can kind of take a look at what consoles are there and what options you're going to have in terms of connectivity. So we're going to go through the console, the controller. We're going to show pairing the controller to the console and all that kind of good stuff. Now, as always, I invite you, if there's anything about this video, anything you think I should have added that I didn't, anything you think I maybe wasn't clear enough on, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to provide further clarification, or if there's anything that you think that I missed, please ask and I will get you the information that you desire. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let us get into it. So here we go. Alright, so this is as best we're going to do, autofocus allowing right now. So we're going to take a walkthrough of the whole backside of your console right here and take a look at what all of these ports are for. Starting off right here with the power port, this will be obvious what's going to plug in here once you open the box and you see your power brick with the adapter that will go in right here. Moving right along onto the HDMI out port, it also says 2 TVs so that you know this is the one that you're going to connect to whatever you're using to view your console with. And if you're using a capture card or something like that, you're going to go from this into your capture card and then into your TV from there and into your computer. The next guy you've got right here is your optical audio output. If you're using any sort of external audio any sort of external audio processing, such as a headset like most Turtle Beach or Astra headsets nowadays with an external amp, will have an optical audio input. This is where you're going to plug that into, and those headsets should always come with an optical audio cable. Also, take note that if you look over at the settings video, there's a point when you're in the audio video section on there for the audio where you can select what comes out of the optical port. That's this port. So there are specific settings for what type of audio is going to be exported through here in the settings menu. Check the other video for that. Moving along to the HDMI input, this is a really cool feature of the Xbox One because you can plug into here, say, your cable box, and then there's a TV app on the console that allows you to view whatever is coming through this port. Now, if you plug your TV in, you can use one guide to actually control whatever your cable box is doing, and you can see the guide and all that sort of stuff and whatever's coming in on here. Personally, I plug a Chromecast in, and then I can just go to that TV app and then cast anything from my phone or from my computer right onto here. But if you don't have a Chromecast, also keep in mind that your Xbox One does have the casting ability built into it. So if you're on Google Chrome, you'll be able to cast directly to your Xbox as long as it's on the same network. Just hit the little cast icon and then you'll be able to see whatever your console's name is on the list. So moving on past the HDMI input, right here we have two USB 3.0 super speed ports, and I mean these are useful for whatever you want. If you've got something that needs a little bit of power, you can plug that in right here. If you've got external storage over USB, you can plug that in right here. If you've got, if you want to have a hub so you can plug multiple things in, or an extension cable so you can plug something in over a greater distance, that's what these guys are for. I mean, USB has pretty much unlimited possibilities today. This next port right here is for your Connect. This is the proprietary port. If you got a Connect, this is where you plug it in. Otherwise, you're not going to plug anything in here. That's all there is to it. And it's obviously, as you can see, it's a weird shape, so you're not going to have to worry about accidentally plugging that in upside down or anything like that. This guy right here is really interesting. This is your infrared input. Yeah, that's the way to say it. So one thing that they've built into the Xbox One with the Kinect is the ability to control your devices over infrared. I should have said infrared output. I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit that. I'm just going to make that change right here. This is an infrared output. So this is the ability for you to control external devices through infrared without having to have a Kinect. Because regularly, if you're going to use your Kinect to change the volume on your TV or your external audio or anything like that, you're going to do so using the IR blaster built into the Kinect. Now, if you don't have one, you would just kind of be screwed, and that sucks. but you can get all sorts of IR blasters for like $10 or $15 at places like Best Buy, or of course from Amazon, that would plug in to this guy right here and allow you to still blast the IR signal throughout your room even though you don't have the Kinect. So really cool that Xbox offers that functionality to people even if you don't have the Kinect, even if you don't use a Kinect. And this guy right here is obviously your RJ45 Ethernet port. So if you're using a wired connection to get an internet connection, obviously to Xbox Live as well, that's where you're going to plug that guy in. All the way over here, the last guy is your Kensington lock. If you're in a situation where you want to have your system locked down, then you know what that's for. There's a lock system that, you can lock it down on a cable lock so that way no one can walk off with your console. Right here across the top is a port for some fans. There are various fan ports all around the system, and make sure that you keep those as open as possible. As we move around, I'll look at all of those. But I also want to highlight here on the back, this guy is your seal. So as you can see, stick my fingernail in this groove right here. That's where the console comes in half. And when it comes factory sealed, it's got this little sticker on here that lets you know that it's never been opened. And this is pretty much your warranty voider. So yeah, don't take your Xbox apart if you want your warranty to actually count for anything. So that's what we've got on the back. Moving over to I guess this would be the left side if you're looking at it from the front. This whole side right here is big fan opening, big fan port. So don't put anything right up against the side of your console because you want this open to allow for airflow. This guy right here is another USB 3.0 port. So again, anything that you would plug in over USB, you can plug it in right there on the side. It's just a more convenient spot than having it only available on the back. There are 3 total ports, 2 that I just showed you on the back. This guy right here on the side. They have the exact same functionality. This one's just a little bit more convenient to get to. And then this right here, if I can get the glare to work just right. Sorry, there's a gloss finish on this button on this console. That guy right there is your wireless connection, your syncing button for your controllers. So your controller as well has that button right there on the back. I'll do a more detailed review of the controller in a second. And that's the button that you're going to use to sync your controller to your console, and I will have a clip of that coming up later in the video. Moving now to the front, this is where all the action happens, and of course this gloss finish means it's like super terrible for me to have to deal with that glare, so I'll go right about there. So right here you've got your power button, which is capacitive touch. So make sure if you've got no socks on or something like that you don't tap this thing with your foot, because you will turn your Xbox on in the middle of whatever you're doing. So that's your power button right there, which will light up white when the console is on. Then you've got your disc drive right here, which is a Blu-ray drive, so you can watch your Blu-ray movies. And Xbox One games are on Blu-ray discs currently because you can store an astronomical amount of data on those bad boys. The eject button is right here immediately to the side of the disc drive, and this is also capacitive touch. And so one thing the console will do is when you push this button, it will give you a audio cue to let you know what's happening. If there's a disc in there that's being ejected, it gives you sort of a positive sound, but if there's no disc in there and you press the eject button, you get like a, sort of like, what are you doing? There's no disc in there for you to eject. Don't push that button. One other thing I want to point out is that the infrared receiver for your console is right about here. It's hidden right in back behind this panel. I've read online that it's located like just to the side of the disc eject button, so it's going to be hidden right in this area right here. Now that shouldn't really make too much of a difference because as long as you're pointing your infrared remote at your console, it should work. This guy right here is the one that I typically use. So, and it's just got its infrared emitter right there. So as long as you point that at the front of your console, you shouldn't have any problems at all. But if for whatever reason you were like potentially partially blocking, or if you've got this in an entertainment center and when you close the doors, try to keep this center area right here as open as possible because that's where that infrared receiver is. I'll put that guy back and we'll take a look at the other side of the console right here, which normally this is just styling stuff because this is the Halo Xbox. This is just a panel, and then this is another fan port. So again, try to keep this as open as you possibly can. Taking a look at the top on this side right here, you've got only styling. This is again just something that looks cool. And then this guy right here is all fan ports. So don't put anything directly on the top of your console because you want to keep this area open so that you've got cool air flowing in and warm air flowing out. The bottom is expectedly super duper boring. You've just got your sticker on there that says, hey, this is an Xbox One. In case for whatever reason you weren't aware of what this was before, that's what this is. So that's pretty much what I've got for you guys on the overview of the physical box. I'm going to plug this guy back in. We'll take a look at pairing the controller and all that kind of stuff in a minute. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look now, a little bit more detailed look at the Xbox One wireless controller. So this is the standard controller. This isn't the Elite or anything like that. And if you bought a standard Xbox and yours is black and you're wondering why this one is different colors, don't worry about it. It works exactly the same. This just has a different livery, if you will, because this came with the special edition Xbox, the Halo edition. So what you've got right here on the front, you've got all of your standard stuff. You have your Xbox button right here, which is also the power button for the controller. Then you've got your menu and your two menu buttons right here. To be honest, I don't know what they're actually called. I still call them start and back, which is what they were on the Xbox 360. You've got the menu button and the hamburger button, as they're affectionately known throughout the community. Your directional pad, which is pretty self-explanatory, up, down, left, and right. And you can sort of, in some games, you can do like the in-between directions by pushing in the middle there, but that's game-specific stuff. You've got your left thumbstick, which works as expected, your right thumbstick, which works as expected. Both of those are clickable. I don't know whether or not my mic's picking that up. You've got your A, B, X, and Y. Normally these are color-coded. On this one they're not, but I still get little arrows right there, the green, red, blue, and yellow. And we'll move on down to this. Oh, that autofocus. Move on down right here. This is your oh, where's that guy at? This is where you're gonna plug in your standard, like your first party headsets are gonna plug in right here, but otherwise this port isn't really gonna be used for anything. The majority of the time, if you're buying a controller nowadays, it's gonna have one of these 3.5 millimeter ports. You can plug in anything that you want right there. I've got an Astro A40 that I can plug right out of my mix amp and plug directly into this port right here, and it works exactly the same. If you've got a headset like in-ear buds with an inline mic that you use on your cell phone, plug that bad boy in right there, and that's your headset. You can do party chat and all that kind of good stuff right there. And then you can go into the settings menu to adjust how all that works, and you can see that in the settings menu. Video of Xbox 101. Sorry, I just cut off the second half of my sentence there for no reason. On the, I guess the back is what you could call it right here, you've got your two shoulder buttons, your two bumpers, left and right bumper, your two triggers, left and right. Now on the Xbox One controller, these guys right here are what they call impulse triggers, meaning that they actually have their own little rumble motors in here. So if you're playing a game like Forza or any sort of driving game like that, you get cool feedback where you feel when you floor it and you get some wheel spin, you might feel a little rumble in there to let you know you've lost traction. And the same way, if you slam on the brakes and you lock them up, you get a little ABS feel in there with your feedback letting you know that you are hitting the brakes too hard. This port right here is a standard micro USB port that is used, to charge pretty much any cell phone nowadays. And it's the exact same way over here. If you've got a plan charge kit, you put your rechargeable battery in here, and then you can charge directly through this port here. The one that I've got here is a Nyko. It's a third-party one, and I use these because they have a separate charging port, and I can charge the battery whether or not it's in the controller, which I find very useful, and it's got a different battery door on here. So the other thing we've got back here is the wireless sync button, which you will push at the same time that you push the button I just showed on your console in order to connect your controller to your console, and I've got a clip coming up showing how that actually works for real instead of just me talking about it. This panel right here, it is worth noting because you might notice it later, and if you do, I just wanted to let you know what it is. This panel here on the back is sort of clear, and it has some infrared lights behind it. You can't really see right here, but if you ever look at this through a camera that has that can sense infrared, you'll be able to see that there's a little red flashing light back here. And that's something that your Xbox uses. If you have a Kinect, your Xbox will see your face, which is linked to your profile, and see the controller that is obviously in your hands, and use that to connect this controller to you. Now this is really cool. This technology works really well and really fast. It totally freaked me out once, because one time I was playing Battlefield 4, and Battlefield, if you have a Kinect, uses your Kinect to see how you're sitting. So if I'm sitting here, if I do this, I'll lean around a corner, And it was really cool because I was sitting here with my friend playing Battlefield, and I was showing him like blah blah blah, this is how everything works. He hadn't seen it before, so I was showing him how the game is like, and I said, here, you try it. And I leaned over to hand him the controller, and as I did, I leaned to the right, and my guy on the screen leaned to the right, and the instant that the controller left my hand and entered his hand, and he was leaning to the left, the guy on the screen immediately changed from leaning right to leaning left, because the Kinect saw that the controller was no longer assigned to me, but was instead assigned to another guy. It immediately started receiving input from him, and if he had had his profile signed in on my Xbox, it would have changed to have that controller assigned to him instead. So if you ever notice that if you're looking at a camera and you see that there are infrared lights back here, that's what that's for, and the technology works really well, and if I hadn't explained it, you probably would never notice it was there because it just works. So that's really what I've got for you guys on our look through the Xbox One controller. Last thing I'm going to do is push this power button here so that you can see how that turns on. Normally when that connects to your console, it would go solid. Right now it's just going to continue flashing because my Xbox is obviously not turned on because it's unplugged right over here from that previous segment. So that's what I've got for you guys on the Xbox One wireless controller. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm sitting here in my gaming rig. Sorry I'm a little far from the mic in this setup, so I'm talking a little bit loud. Hope you guys can hear me just fine. So I want a quick show about pairing the controller with the console. As you can see, I've got my console set back up right here. The button, as I showed you, is right here on the left-hand side. And the same way on my controller, I've got the button right here. I'm just going to go ahead and push both of these buttons at the same time. And you'll see that both lights here start flashing quickly. After a couple seconds when they pair, they begin to flash slower in sync, and then they go solid again. And once they've both flashed in sync and then gone solid, that's how you know that that controller is paired to that console. And then of course you can test your input and make sure that it works. So there you go. Alright, well that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of Xbox 101. Thank you guys very much for stopping in, and again, if there's anything that you think I wasn't clear enough on or anything that you think I missed, please let me know down in the comments below and I will be happy to get you the information that you need. So, thank you very much for stopping by. I'm your host, Asthmatic, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode of Xbox 101. You can scroll all the way down here to settings, which gives you a couple of really basic options right here, such as whether or not you're going to use your Kinect for chat if you don't have a headset plugged into your controller. You've got the options to turn off your console as well as restart your console. Next, then we can use this link right here to take us to the full-on settings app. See, it super clearly says IR out, so if you're actually confused with the way I fumbled my words earlier, when you have your actual Xbox in front of you, you'll be able to see what it says. Okay, cool, thanks, bye!